Hello, everyone. My name is Adam Pohl. So happy to be with you for our Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. Well, Mount St. Mary's is coming off a big win, beating Howard 79-75 on Saturday here at Knott Arena. After the long road trip, Mount St. Mary's returned home and had a big effort, especially from their front court. Justin Amati standing out, scoring 21 points with 10 rebounds in the Mount St. Mary's win. The Mount now heading into a big week ahead, opening the MAAC schedule. The only game of the MAAC Wednesday night, taking on Sacred Heart here at Knott Arena. It's the first game of the entire 25-26 season of MAAC Conference basketball. We hope to see you here. Get your tickets at mountathletics.com. The Mount will then be on the road on Friday night to take on Marist. So we got a lot to talk to the coach about. Coach Lind with us as you're watching the Donny Lind Show, and it starts right now. Thanks so much for being with us here today on our Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. As we welcome now the coach of the Mount, Coach Lind. Huge win against Howard this weekend as this is such an important little stretch of these first 2 months. We're going to look forward towards a big first week of MAAC play a little bit later. But looking back, you guys brought a lot of energy out of the gate, just dominated the glass early, ended up in the game scoring 40 points in the paint in the 79-75 win over Howard. You had to be happy about that energy.
Yeah, it was certainly one of the keys going into the game was to establish ourselves down low, establish our presence in the paint. We felt like we had an advantage there. And, the guys, came out and pressed that advantage, and it was great to see, those big guys getting involved early, being aggressive, and obviously finishing around the basket and then doing a great job on the glass.
You brought Justin Amati in this year. This was his biggest game, and he was coming off injury. He did not play in the game against Ohio State. He came out pretty early in the game against Western Michigan, and it was obvious from the jump how big he was in this game, really on both sides of the floor. I mean, he had 21 points, 10 rebounds, played a lot of the game with 3 fouls and was still able to be an impact even in that. It was really a big day for him.
Yeah, Justin was awesome. He's been getting so much better every day. You see it. He's a highly skilled player. He's got a lot of talent, super athletic, and he's starting to get more comfortable in what we're asking him to do. He took on, as much as he did offensively, taking on the challenge of guarding Bryce Harris, one of the best mid-major players in the country, and just, forced him to have an inefficient night. And that was our goal going in. And Justin really took that to heart. And for most of the game, he had to guard him and did a great job at that. And then to have success offensively and finish well around the basket, he was a great job on the glass, getting 10 rebounds and made his free throws, all sort of things that he'd been really spending a lot of time working on. Coach Freeman and him worked together a lot in the gym after practice, getting extra work in, and to see some of that pay off in a big game, is great for Justin and for our team.
You guys had a lot of turnovers early. It helped after a great 22-9 start. Howard kind of get back into it. But if you really look at the last 30 minutes of the game, you did not turn the ball over much at all. And I think that efficiency was a big part of finding a way to win against a tough Howard team.
Yeah, no doubt. We still got to try to eliminate those stretches. It's kind of been a little bit of an Achilles heel for us. It's not that, all game long we're struggling to take care of the ball. It's just we have these lapses, where we get a little careless, where we make some bad decisions. And Howard's a pressure defensive team, and they really force turnovers. It's why they're one of the reasons that they've been so effective this year. And so, we worked against it, we prepared, but again, had a little bit of a lapse there, 10 or 15 possessions that were just, not our best. And, we got to eliminate those. We got to get better where we don't have those stretches, or those stretches aren't as long. And that takes work, and it takes, effort and being locked in. It's a mental switch that these guys have to be, they got to be switched on. And we work with them every day to try to understand the value of every possession. And it's an area of growth that we're trying to attack. And you can see, when we take care of the ball, we shoot it at a high percentage. We score very efficiently on the offensive end. We make threes, we score layups, but you got to get more shots. So it's an area we got to grow in, and we're continuing to work on it.
You've played so much against the high major teams in the half court. and had a lot of efficiency. They played very well in that. Against Howard, they sped things up, and you were able to score quickly. I mean, there was a time in the game where it looked like the game might end in the 90s, and that was it was a lot of fun to see the team be very aggressive, not just break the press to get into your offense, but break the press to score.
Yeah, I would prefer to play that way. Some of the injuries we've had and some of the lack of depth has forced us to play a little bit slower than maybe we would have liked. And some of it is the scheduling. You don't always want to get into a track meet with some of these high major teams. Yeah. And so we've had to adjust a little bit. But you can see the talent there. You can see the guys' freedom to play on the offensive end and their comfortability playing that way. That's most of what we did all summer and fall. And so they were able to adjust really quickly to having that that pace and being able to play that way. And they're good at that tempo. They're good in the half court, but they're also good in the open floor as long as we're taking care of the ball. And so, we think we can play at a lot of different styles, and, we're going to have to. The MAAC presents so many different challenges, different styles of play, that we've got to be able to adjust and play different ways, and then hopefully make teams adjust to us as well.
You had Justin Amati with a double-double. You had Luke McKeldin very close to 14 points, 9 rebounds. One of the things that was so different about this game, though, was that rim protection and that ability. You have a front line where that could be a difference maker for you here in MAAC play. And the 7-footer, Yahya Diop was outstanding. He played 10 minutes. His athleticism, his speed, it really was impressive. He was everywhere, when he was in the game, and he was a big time difference maker in altering shots. And that's sometimes something that it's hard to see when you look at a box score. But he made a big difference out there.
Yeah, he really did. And He's had a long way to come. Didn't get here for summer school. Showed up at the beginning of the fall because of some visa stuff and getting him here, and he's made such strides. And to see some of that stuff pay off in a game like that is great. We've tried to simplify the game for him, like you said. Hey, try to block every shot. Protect the rim as best you can. Rebound the ball. Communicate defensively, and then run the rim. Try to put pressure on that rim in transition. And he's really leaning into those things and not trying to do too much, not trying to be, everything yet that he could be someday. Mm-hmm. But he's doing a great job at buying into what we're asking him to do. And then consequently, you have success, right? When you simplify it for a guy and they're willing to do that, that's the hard part sometimes is, a lot of players can do maybe more than what we're asking them to do. And part of being a good player on a good team is buying in to the role that you're asked to do. It's not limiting, right? But it's, hey, I need you to do these things. I need you to do these 3 or 4 things at the highest level. And then if you got an opportunity to go, catch, finish, dunk, go do it, right? If you got an opportunity on the roll to make a good play, go make the play that's in front of you. But I'm judging you. I'm evaluating you on these 3 or 4 things that the team really needs from you. And he's really bought into that. Coach Cede does a great job with him and all of our forwards at really helping those guys simplify what we need them to do. And they've been phenomenal for us really just about every night, but it's really shown against Howard.
All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We've got a big week of basketball to look ahead to. Not that the other games don't matter, but MAAC play is what it is all about, and it starts here Wednesday night at Knott Arena against Sacred Heart. We'll tell you about it right after this.
The time has come. The steak and cheese sandwich is back at Roy Rogers. Savory or spicy, make it yours with your favorite fixins. Go big and upgrade to a large drink and holster fry for the full cowboy experience. Get it while you can. Steak and cheese is here for a limited time only. See you soon at Roy Rogers.
Great to have you back with us here on the Donny Lind Show, presented by Educational Systems Federal Credit Union. It's time to look forward. It's unique because in all these years in the Northeast Conference or the Mount, there was non-conference season and then there was conference season. But in the MAAC, you have this important 2-game window right in the middle of non-conference, your non-conference schedule. And we are here Wednesday night here at home against Sacred Heart. Get those tickets at mountathletics.com. And then you're going to make the quick trip up to play Marist, who is, has had a really great start to the season as well, Friday night in Poughkeepsie. So with that being said, this is a neat little showcase for the program. The MAAC has a standalone game to open the season in conference play, 1 game on a Wednesday night. And as last year's champion, Mount St. Mary's, one of the reasons that we were chosen here to host this game this year. So the eyes of the MAAC will be on the Mount, and I know it's excited. We're hoping for a big crowd here at Knott Arena, and Sacred Heart is going to be a great opponent. Yeah,
they are a explosive offensive basketball team. They can really, really score. They play 5, 6, 7 guys that can make a lot of shots, that stretch the floor. And so, we've got to really be locked in on the defensive end. They make it hard for you. They test your fundamentals. That's a huge piece for us. We have to really lean into the stuff we've worked on day after day after day and not allow, maybe a couple shots going in by some really good shooters to frustrate us. And if we can maintain our fundamentals, we give ourselves a chance to be successful. But man, they're intimidating sometimes to watch on film.
And then you're going to head up the road to take on Marist. Marist plays a very different style, and that can be tough in a quick turnaround. But they've had a really good start here to their non-conference slate.
Yeah, no doubt. It is contrasting styles, right? You go from an explosive offensive team in Sacred Heart to a lockdown defensive team in Marist, one of the best defensive mid-major teams in the country. And so, they say styles makes fights, right? And so, we're going to have to find a way to be successful both nights, and it's going to be different, right? It's going to look different. It might be different guys that have to be good to have us have success. But that's what I love about our team. We have such depth. We've got different guys that could give you, 18 or 20 points any given night. We've just got to make the play that's in front of you. We play with a ton of freedom on the offensive end. And so these guys have learned that, hey, I can play to my strengths. And if the other team takes that away, then I'll let, my friend, my teammate play to his strengths. And, that the biggest thing is, can the Mount get a stop? And can the Mount score 2 points or 3 points? And as these guys have started to understand that and buy into that, it's fun to see how really, flowing the offense looks, how, relatively easy it is to create open looks. And that's how it should be. And so it'll be fun this week to test ourselves in the MAAC. I don't think any of us MAAC coaches are ready for 2 conference games at this time of the year, but since none of us are, I guess it's fair. And so, to play these games, they do mean a little bit more. They feel different as you go into scouting because, everybody right now, everybody's 0-0 and everybody has that same goal of winning a MAAC regular season championship. And there's hope and there's anticipation. And so, as we prepare for these games, it's fun to see the guys, their understanding of like, okay, every game is important and every scout is important. But, when you get to these conference games, it's like, okay, we're playing for something a little bit more here. We're trying to gotta be a little bit tighter on these keys or a little bit more locked into, whatever a scouting report thing might be. And it's been great to see the guys, as we've been preparing, just be ready for that and excited for that.
All right, Coach, we're going to put you on the spot a little bit here. It's country music night at the game here Wednesday night. And if you're fans, if you wear a country western outfit, whoever's got the best outfit at halftime is going to get a gift card to the outstanding restaurant, the Carriage House, here in Emmitsburg. And are you a big country music fan?
I would say I'm an average country music fan. I got a playlist. I got a country playlist.
Okay, that was going to be my next question.
Listen to it in the car
so
every once in a while.
Okay, good. You got a little bit to you. You probably know more than me. Back in the day, 20 years ago, I was like, boy, I love this new country song, Dixieland Delight. And somebody said, Adam, that song was from 1990. So I don't know if I can claim myself to be the most able country fan. But fans, we hope you come on out and dress up and have some fun with us Wednesday night here in the home opener. And then we're going to have a watch party for the game in Frederick on Friday night when the Mount is at Marist. That's going to be at X Golf Frederick. X Golf Frederick, once again, is going to be a watch party. So come on out. There'll be a big Mount contingent to watch that game together at 7 o'clock. So all together, though, it's a big week. We wish you all the best, Coach.
Thanks. Excited for it, and should be a lot of fun.
All right, that's our Donny Lind Show for this week as we're getting ready for the opening of MAAC play. We hope you are able to come on out once again, get tickets for this Wednesday night's game at mountathletics.com. We'll see you again next time.